All right. Hi, Deline. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Vonvo.com. Just so you know, right now this conversation is being recorded. As soon as the discussion is over, I'm going to be posting it to our YouTube channel. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
All right, great. And also, just so you know, in case anyone else decides to join the conversation, here at Vonvo, we want our conversations to stay both civil and valuable. So we don't want there to be any personal attacks on anyone. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm going to have to increase the volume because I can barely hear you.
Yeah, that's okay. You can increase it a bit if you need to.
Okay. All right, so can you say that all over again, please?
Yeah, I just said if here at Vonvo, we want our discussions to stay both civil and valuable. So we don't want there to be any personal attacks on anyone. Are you okay with those rules?
Of course not. I agree.
Okay, great. And Omar, do you hear us okay? Maybe, maybe not. All right, if Omar comes in here, I'm not sure if he's just going to sit in and listen. But let's just get started. So, Deline, can you tell our people in the audience and anyone else who watches this video just a little bit about yourself and how you became so passionate about this human rights conflict?
Yeah. Well, I'm Palestinian American. I am in Washington, D.C. I became passionate about this because, I mean, nobody's really covering this man who is innocent and is dying in the prison, in Israeli prisons. So they talk about all the other situations that happens, home demolitions, the wars, whatever it is. But this guy who has broken world record, no one seems to want to speak about him. Nobody wants to help him out. So that's why we said we have to do something to kind of get his. So we started the Free Samir Issawi campaign, and we went from there.
Right. So could you give us a little bit more information about what this whole... Do you hear me? Oh, sorry. Sorry, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Could you give us a little bit more information about what this whole campaign is about and the history behind it?
Well, I mean, it's basically we're trying to spread his story. We're trying to educate the public. We're trying to educate all civil people about Samir Issawi. And it's not just about him. It's him, and there's like 5 more guys that are on hunger strike, that are on administrative leave in Israeli prisons. So that's what we're trying to educate the public, trying to get media to get involved, trying to get organizations to get involved. And, I've tried so many contacting different organizations. They have not done anything. Nobody responded back. Nobody did anything. So we had to step up our game, and we took over. We went to Twitter, we went to Facebook, and we're making sure everybody knows who Samir Issawi is and his story, of course.
Right. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I keep muting myself just so that people don't hear the echo. So I'm just gonna go back and forth. So what I was gonna say is, you talk about the media coverage. What's been the most disappointing part behind this in regards to no media coverage? Do you see media coverage in other areas of the world and just not inside the U.S.?
No, it was no media coverage, period. Whether it was Arabic or English.
Yes, we hear you, Omar.
Did you say something?
I think Omar's just testing his camera. Omar, are you there? Okay, great. Go ahead, Deline. Now Omar's here, so go ahead, Deline.
like listing his arrest after he was released.
Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Continue, Omar.
Hello.
Yeah, Omar, I hear you. Do you hear me?
I'll answer. Since he's having problems with his volume and his mic, I'll answer Norma. Norma, Samir Issawi was part of the prisoner exchange back in October 2011. He was released, and a few months later, the Israeli occupation forces rearrest him, and he's on with no charges right now. He has not been charged. He has not had a trial, and they're still holding him. And he's on hunger strike because he's protesting that it's either you charge me or you set me free. And since July, they haven't given him they haven't charged him with anything. And every time he goes to court, they postpone it. So I mean, that's why he's on hunger strike.
Right. Deline, can you move your speakers away from your microphone by any chance?
No, because it's on the computer itself. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. No problem.
I can't do it.
That's okay. No problem. Just because some people are hearing this echo, so it's all good. We'll just next time wear headphones. That's all.
I'm sorry. This is new. This is all new to me, so you guys gotta bear with me for the first time.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. So you gave a bit of a background regarding what exactly was Samir Issawi accused of doing? What exactly was he arrested for?
When? This time?
Yes.
When he got rearrested in July? Well, basically, they're accusing him of, part of his deal was that he stay in Jerusalem if he was released. And they're saying that he left Jerusalem. Now, they captured him at the Hizma checkpoint. Hizma checkpoint, per Israel's map, is part of Jerusalem. So there is no reason for them to be arresting him in the first place. Let alone they have no charges right now against him. So that's what.
So there was 2 times that he was arrested, you're saying, and that was the second time. What was the first time he was arrested regarding?
The first time he was arrested was back when the second intifada, I think it was the second intifada, 2000. He was arrested in 2002 for being, I think he had weapons or something like that with the, what's their name? They had let me get you their name. He was captured for being part of a resistance, basically. But I forgot which faction he was part of. But he was arrested during that.
Right. Right. Okay.
But we can't, either way, whatever the reason it was, he was arrested in the first place. They cannot keep him in jail. As they released him, they cannot hold that against him anymore. So that one is passed. It's done. That's how it is. They let him go, and they gave him new criteria. You cannot leave Jerusalem. Fine. Has he done that? No. So then why are they arresting him? Whatever happened in the past, that one's done.
Right. So ultimately, what are your feelings about how the Israeli government is handling this situation? Are they just totally ignoring it from what you've seen? Are they recognizing that this guy is trying to prove an international point? What's your take on how the Israeli government is reacting to all this?
To be honest, I feel like the Israeli government don't care. It doesn't matter. They do what they want to do, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's violating international law or not. I think Israel thinks it's above the law. It can't do that. You know, I don't agree with what they're doing, and I mean, they're not above the law. They're not above the law.
Right, and so you were saying before there's a few other people that are participating with Samer Issawi in this campaign or whatever we want to call it, this hunger strike. What do you have any background on who these other people are and what they're were they affiliated with Samer Issawi?
No, they're not. They're not all together. But I mean, I know a little bit more about Ayman Sharana. Don't know exactly why he was arrested in the beginning, but I know that he's on hunger strike for the same reason. He hasn't been charged. He hasn't had a trial. They've promised him many times to review his case. Then he would end his hunger strike, and then they would, as usual, they don't the word, and then they break their promises, and then he goes back on hunger strike. I feel like they keep playing with these people, with these men's lives. They can't keep playing with people's lives like that. You know, Ayman Sharana has 9 kids are waiting for him to come home. You know, they can't just keep doing this with these men who are innocent.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys that I'm not very familiar with their stories, but I know they've been on hunger strike, I believe since November, but I can't remember the exact date.
Right. Right. So, I mean, just because someone who hears about a hunger strike for the first time, like they might be a little bit confused by what's involved in this. Like, is he just resisting, like, eating? And how does this does anyone? I just want to like kind of, for those who have never really maybe heard of this, like what exactly is involved in it? I mean, it sounds like a stupid question, but like one would think that someone wouldn't be able to survive for this long, and so is he just trying to wait this out and basically just prove a point for as long as he can and take his life for Palestinian survival and for what Palestinians believe in an occupation? Or is he just basically waiting to get a second trial or a new lawyer? You know, I'm trying to figure out what the motives are behind doing something like this.
Why is he on hunger strike?
Yeah.
So you're trying to find out why he's on hunger strike? Like, why is he using hunger strike as a means of what he wants to get? Okay, well, I mean, just think of Gandhi. Why did Gandhi go on hunger strike? It was a non-violent kind of distance. He's going on hunger strike to the world. You know, freedom is what, injustice is what he wants. You know, it's not. That's what he's trying. You have to understand, Palestinians don't have weapons like Israel has, like Syrians have. Palestinians don't have that. He's using his hunger strike, his stomach, his empty stomach, like we say, as his weapon. You know? And we've had other hunger strikers. I mean, he's not the first one that this happened to. You guys need to understand that many of the prisoners who were released in the prisoners' exchange were rearrested again. You know, many of the ones that were released and were staying in the West Bank area, they were arrested again. So, I mean, he's not the first one. Khadr Adnan was the first one. Then there was Hana Shalabi, there was Mahmoud Sarsrek. So all these people went on hunger strike. What gets me is this man has been on hunger strike, continuous hunger strike, for 208 days today. And not one person discussed in that one person. Sorry, I think we have somebody new who's joining us.
Yeah, it looked
right?
like it, and it looked like it, and then he just dropped out. I heard him for a second.
Okay. But basically, he was hunger strict for 208 days, and the world can't stay quiet about this. Israel can't just get away with all these crimes every time. You know, this man didn't do anything. He needs to be released.
Right. So what I was going to ask you is someone inside the text chat. They posted a question about why should this man have been released if he was involved in the second Intifada. Do you have any response to that for someone who asked that question?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Why should he have been released if he was involved in the second Intifada and, let's say, committing different, militaristic actions and whatnot?
Right. I mean, why should he have been released? And Israel agreed to that. Part of the exchange that was brokered by Egypt, this prisoner swap, they agreed to release him. That's not the question now. That's not what we're focusing on. We can't go back to what happened in the past.
Right.
Right now, we're talking about right now. Israel released him. Israel agreed to release him. They cannot come rearrest him for the same reasons that they arrested him in the first time. That's it.
Mm-hmm. No, totally.
My question is, for example, the prisoner that they exchanged him with Shalit. Where is he now? You know what I mean? How come it's okay for him to live freely and walk around, his hometown, be free? How come these men cannot do the same thing?
Right.
I mean, I understand maybe because you guys are thinking, oh well, they had weapons and whatnot. Well, Shalit also had went to Gaza. That's how he got captured in the first place.
So, Darlene, one of the listeners inside the text chat is asking what his lawyer is saying. Does he have a lawyer? Is his lawyer speaking about this, about this human rights conflict, and what does he have to say?
I mean, his lawyer is saying what we're saying. Yes, he has a lawyer, and he's saying typically the same information. I mean, there's nothing. It's the same thing. It's basically he has court dates, but they're always postponed. He goes and he checks on him. I just want to mention something also about the lawyer. Just a few days ago, Salmon was rushed to the hospital, and his lawyer wasn't allowed to go see him. Why? That's one question I have. Why were they not allowing his lawyer to go to the hospital and check up on his client? I mean, I live in America, so I know that my lawyer is he protects me. He defends me. He needs to know everything about me. Why were they not letting him go in? What happened to him for 2 days or 3 days? And
right.
Finally, when we went to see him, he told us he's basically bones covered in skin. So that's about his lawyer. But his lawyer basically says the same stuff that we've been saying. I mean, all the information we have is information from his family and from his lawyers.
Right. So, I mean, what then? What basically do you feel like the rest of the world needs to know about, not necessarily what's just going on with Samer, but any of the other prisoners inside of this Israeli jail? I mean, what do you think the rest of the world needs to know about this hunger strike? I mean, what details do you think are just totally being avoided being shared, and what message do you really want people around the world to know about what's going on here?
Well, the message we want to get around to the world is Israel needs to end it's administrative detention. Israel has to end its administrative detention. You either charge a person, you set them free. You have nothing against them. You have no right to, jail them, put them in jail, or detain them. That's what we're trying to say. Administrative detention needs to end everywhere in the world. That's my basic. Because we have administrative detention here in Guantanamo, so we're against that as well, But Israel has been doing it for years and years and years. And just keep in mind that it's not just these guys who are on hunger strike. There's so many more of them there. There are children that are not charged, that are in prison. This needs to end. Women, mothers, daughters, this needs to end. It's not fair. Palestinians are human beings as well. They need to be treated like that. And we have rights we have rights just like anybody else. So that's what we're trying to message to get around also. Other than just spreading Salman's story, administrative detention needs to end. Israel cannot hold these people for years. There are people in administrative detention that are in jail for 10 years. 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Darlene, what is your opinion about why, let's say, the mass media isn't covering this story? Here in the States, I've yet to hear about this story. I don't know if you know better than I do if it's being covered in other areas of the world. But what is your take on why that might be the case? And go right ahead and share your opinion on how the corporate media, I guess, plays a role in matters like this.
Okay. There's so many things that I could point out on this one here. First, I think they're not covering it because it's become nothing new. Because you had Khader Adnan, who was the first hunger striker. That he was big. It was story. You had protests. You had media talking about it. Then you had the soccer. We call it soccer. They call it football there. But the soccer player who was arrested for no reason as well. He went on hunger strike. So it became normal to the media, these Palestinians going on hunger strike. But the media needs to understand these Palestinians are using the hunger strike as their weapon because they don't have weapons. So they're using that as a weapon, a violent weapon. And the other reason I think the media is not covering it, because to be honest, media in the U.S. never covers the Palestinian issue fairly. Never. It never does. I used to watch CNN. I don't watch CNN anymore. I never watched Fox, but they never give you a fair two-sided story. They look at it in one direction. And so I'm not surprised with the Western media. I am surprised with the Middle Eastern media, the Arabic media, why they haven't covered it. I'm surprised that they just started covering it when there was a rumor going around last week that he died. What, are we waiting for him to die so we can cover his story? No, we need to save a human being's life before we go to cover a tragedy. You know what I mean? We don't want to cover when he's in his grave. We want to cover it when he's going out because he's innocent. That's what we want coverage on.
Right.
So that's my little point on the media.
Okay, great. So, one second. So you mentioned that the Middle Eastern media isn't such as an Al Jazeera isn't covering this subject either. I mean, is there any sort of is there anything that crosses your mind of why that might not be the case?
Honestly, no. I mean, I don't have an answer for that. I wish they would answer for that because we've contacted all the media. Our campaign went after Al Jazeera, Associated Press, CNN, BBC. We've contacted all of them. In London, they had protests in front of the BBC. We've tried, but they haven't given us an answer. So if they're watching this, please contact me and let me know why they haven't, because I don't know.
Right. So I guess, my question to you would be, ultimately, do you think that there are, certain Palestinian prisoners that might be, participating in this hunger strike, but let's say of the others who are participating in this and not, Samer al-Hissawi, do you think for some of these others, do you think it would be naive on anyone's behalf to think that they're all completely innocent? I guess because we've had a lot of discussions on Israel-Palestine, so I guess I would just be interested to get your take on, whether or not you believe, all of these prisoners are completely innocent. Obviously, there's a major campaign around Samer, but what are your thoughts on the idea that maybe some of these people are on hunger strike, but they might be justly in jail, and they shouldn't be on hunger strike maybe, but they were rightfully supposed to be in jail. Do you think that that's the case with some of these people?
No, with the 6 guys that are on hunger strike right now, they are all in the same situation. None of them have been charged. So they all have, I understand why they would be on hunger strike. I think I got your question, if that's what you're asking. They all have been rearrested, all of them, and they have not been charged. So there isn't anything against them. So that's I think I answered your question. I don't.
Right. So the idea is that these people have just been arrested, let's say, for a second time, but they've yet to have any charges thrown against them. They're just being, what was the term used before? Just they're being under administrative prison. I forgot exactly what you said, but the idea is that they're not on hunger strike because they've been sentenced to jail for a certain time period for a certain action. They are just being administrative detention, I think you said. That's all these people are under that umbrella term?
Yes.
Okay, and do we...
And let me just make one more thing clear, by the way. There's a lot more than these 6 guys who are in administrative detention. These are the only guys who are on hunger strike. But there's a lot more that are in administrative detention. I don't have the exact number, but I think there's like I think it's like 178 or 200. I can't remember the exact number, so don't quote me on that one, please.
Right. So, what I was just, hold on one second. We've been speaking for just over a half hour, just under a half hour. Sorry. And what I guess I was going to ask is, ultimately, for anyone who watches this video and begins to learn about this this subject, what would be your message to the world regarding not only Samer but anyone else who's under administrative detention, on a hunger strike? What do you think the world just needs to know about these actions that are taking place inside of Israeli jail?
The world needs to know that we can't accept this. We can't keep this up. We have to end this administrative detention everywhere. It's not fair that these governments control our lives like this. If they don't have anything against us, they have to set us free. That's just my point on administrative detention. It needs to end everywhere in the world, and including Palestine, because people always forget Palestine a a lot of people always forget Palestine and what goes on. There's so much going on, and people forget about what's going on in Palestine.
Right. And what sort of role do you think a website such as Vonvo could play in trying to, raise awareness and give some attention to various different human rights issues? And this is the first time we're having this hunger strike topic on Vonvo, so you, my friend, are the first to, discuss this topic. What do you think the role of a website like Vonvo could play in raising some more awareness around, more specific subjects and specific pieces of current events such as this one?
First of all, this is my first time I've ever heard of Vonvo, so I mean, it's a good way of getting the word out there, because we can't always speak to the media about what we think, but having something like this within ourselves, the civil people, discuss together is pretty, like, it's helpful. It gets you it feels like you can get it out there. You can get the message. Since you guys also post it on YouTube, people will be watching this. People will get the message. People will hear about what's going on. People will hear about this issue. Hear about Palestine, about Samet, about the occupation. So I mean, I think it plays a really good role, and hopefully it helps out.
Okay, great. And what I was just going to say is, since we have a bunch of people listening in, I'm just going to run through some of the notes here and see if anyone has any questions that are, worthy of asking you. Just because, I mean, we don't have someone to bounce certain ideas off of you, and I kind of ran through the questions which I had. 1 second. All right, so Darlene, what I was going to say is, since we don't have anyone to bounce certain ideas off of you and engage in a discussion, and this was great, what I'm going to say to you is, thank you so much for participating in this Vonvo today and raising awareness around this subject. We're happy to have you on again, and any other individuals which that would want to discuss this topic. And we look forward to having you back again, and I hope you enjoyed your first experience here at Vonvo.
I did. Thank you very much, and I hope I answered questions that people didn't have answers to. And feel free to check out our page, get more information, and hopefully we can help this poor innocent guy get back to his family, and the other guys who are on hunger strike as well.
All right, great.
Thank you, Max.
No problem. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.